He's one of Britain's most acclaimed writers. Seth Doane talks with author Ian McEwan about the power of the printed word.
A secret, I think, can be fatal. She died with her secret intact.
That secret novelist Ian McEwan is talking about
These things aren't resolved.
Was a personal one held by his mother.
She would give birth to a baby boy and she gave that child away. The moment she gave that child away, I think that woman vanished. My mother.
This dramatic storyline of a long-lost full brother is from the author's own life. Now it's a subplot in his latest novel.
My mother went with her sister, with the baby, and gave it away to the strangers who'd applied to the ad. And 60 years later, that baby turned up in our lives. That story I knew I had to write one day.
McEwan has made a career of dreaming up stories. Usually they start as inventions scribbled in a green notebook.
It has to be green.
Why?
Every rationalist has a soft spot. Has to be black pen, has to be black ink. I'd never write in here in blue.
He says he's resisted plundering his own life for plot lines until now.
This is a pretty bookshop here.
It's gorgeous. It's one of the nicest
Here,
bookshops.
the best-selling author gets the literary world's version of a rock star greeting.
Yes, hello. Oh my goodness me.
I'm in awe.
Photographic proof.
I'm absolutely thrilled to happen upon you. Thank you.
Ian McEwan, one of Britain's most successful living writers, is perhaps best known for Atonement,
You knew before I
the
did.
prized novel which sold more than 7 million copies
Why are you crying?
and was turned into a hit film.
Don't you know?
Yes, I know exactly.
At this bookshop in Bath, England, we found a stack of his work, including his latest, Lessons, a winding, lifelong journey chronicling love, child sex abuse, and lost opportunities.
Doing a rollicking trade.
It was store manager Kathleen Smith's Novel of the Year.
I found it very, very nourishing and an extremely rewarding read.
How is it to write something that then someone you don't know reads and is touched by?
It's a miracle. We take it entirely for granted that someone can put symbols on a page and transfer their thoughts from their brain to another. Look at these shelves stacked with pieces of other people's minds, people long dead. This is it.
Yes.
I loved it.
My father read that recently.
I think it's a wonderful book.
It's funny. I keep trying to talk about your book, but you keep getting distracted
Well,
by
I'm-
other people's books.
Other people's books are much more interesting to me.
That's not deterred him from writing plenty of his own.
This is your 18th novel?
Do you know, people ask me that, and I never know.
You've written enough that you've lost count.
I've been at it 52 years. I work in a converted barn over there.
Evidently, it's been a successful half-century plus. He lives here in the Cotswolds, a couple hours from London.
This is what you'd imagine an English author's home to be like.
I know, I can't quite believe I live here, actually. We wanted a big, sprawling house where there'd be noisy family Christmases and so on, and it's actually turned out to be a children's paradise as well as one for us. Just the space
It was a
around.
paradise where, during the pandemic, this grandfather of 8 holed up with his wife and wrote the 500-page Lessons.
Sometimes 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You could write 16 hours a day?
Well, with lots of breaks for, walking this very energetic dog. But yeah,
Lessons is autobiographical in many ways.
I'd say about a quarter of it is, but its central figure, Roland Baines, I think he lives the kind of life I might have led. Had I missed out on a formal education, never got the full passion of reading, which was actually what led me to become a writer. So he is a kind of alter ego. There's a crucial scene where Roland goes to confront the woman who had sexually groomed him and abused him. I wanted to ring the doorbell with him and let the scene unfold and find out what happens.
You're turning as the reader, wondering what's going to happen. It's hard to imagine that, that you, the author, was doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You write it to find out what's going to happen.
McEwan says there's nothing autobiographical about the sexual abuse. The vulnerability of children is a theme he's explored before.
He was bound to find out sooner or later.
His 1978 The Cement Garden, which was turned into a movie, explores a sexual relationship between siblings who've encased their mother's dead body in cement in the basement.
I can never really explain away the darkness of those stories.
They cover really dark issues, right?
Unbelievable.
Bestiality,
Oh,
incest.
Yeah.
You seem like such a fine, upstanding gentleman.
I was a very fine, upstanding gentleman even then.
So where did it come
It was
from?
the return of the repressed, I think. There must have been some internal, unconscious pressure to just throw it all to the winds, that polite, upstanding young man, and shock everybody.
What is it about people, audiences, that make so many people want to read this grim, dark, scary stuff?
I think it's a way of playing out our worst fears in the luxury of our sitting rooms. We want finally to explore the human condition. We know that we're capable not only of great love and courage and sacrifice and kindness, but of also unbelievable cruelty.
In all, more than a dozen of his novels and short stories were made into films. But ultimately, his faith still lies in his original passion.
I don't know if you've experienced this, going back 20 years to the movie that you really loved at the time and finding how wooden or stilted it is. I don't find that with books in the same way. That's why I'm optimistic about the future of the novel.
When you have all of this beautiful house and this beautiful place, what pushes you to keep working these 14, 16-hour days, to keep writing?
It's no longer a job, it's a way of being. And to stop doing it would be to cease existing, I guess. It just soaks into your skin. You can't live without it.